2021, and I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia on a beautiful day. It is partly sunny and temperature is probably 82 degrees, and I'm back here at the log cabin that's at Cherokee Bluffs. And it was interesting, I was here last Friday and the grass was pretty tall. I assumed that they were going to mow it, and then we ended up having a lot of rain because of the Hurricane Ida. So they decided to mow it today. So it had been pretty long today, and they are still around doing some mowing. So hopefully they won't interfere with the broadcast. So, but heads up, you never know what you're going to get when you're live and outside. So anyways, it is a wonderful, beautiful day, lower humidities and a nice breeze, and just enjoying a early September day in Atlanta. Yesterday had my dentist appointment, my 6-month dental checkup, no cavities, got my teeth cleaned, yay, feeling good. And it's interesting, the lady that is my dental technician, she knows about the ministry, and she was really excited to hear about the last 3 months in traveling and going out west. And she attends, I think it's a Baptist church, but she is aware of demonic spirits. And as she was talking to me, she's like, do you think that people that have addictions have demonic spirits? And I'm like, yup, absolutely, positively. You know, people that are, unfortunately, leaders in the church have demonic spirits that need to have their wounds healed so that they can truly have the good fruit of the Spirit every day in their lives. So anyways, I was continuing to work on my latest book yesterday. I think I'm going to call it From Soul Wounds and Demons to Freedom. That is what I think I'm going to call it. And basically, it's all about explaining how when we get wounded, when we get, growing up, when we get hurt from our fathers, our mothers, can be hurt by not having a relationship with them at all. It can be hurt by having them say things that are mean to us, all the way to physical abuse, sexual abuse, and again, by step parents, by neighbors, by siblings, by you name it, all kinds of people that hurt us. So it's a book that will be able to be given to people so that they can understand the true correlation between all the wounds that they suffered when they were growing up to their struggles later, as a teenager, as an adult, and the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, that people hear demonic spirits. And they can be in the church, they can be pastors, they can be leaders of nations, and they can be truly affected by these demonic spirits. So it opens up the eyes of people to the truth. And then I actually have the same process that I go through when I take a person through a personal session. I'm going to put that in the book so people can actually take themselves through deliverance. I explain that essentially deliverance is no more than being honest with yourself, choosing to forgive those who have hurt us, repenting for our pride, repenting for our sin, and then closing all the open doors that we have. If you're listening to a bunch of demonic, music, a lot of secular music, if you are struggling with addictions, those are open doors for demonic spirits. So I explain it all in the book. I'm excited. I'm up to chapter 9 in it. Hopefully I'll be able to finish chapter 10. Again, this is my first draft, so I always go through it again and refine it, and the Holy Spirit has me add more to it. But my goal and hope is to have it done by the end of September and be available, because there are so many people that need this. In fact, it's very interesting. We continue to get people from around the world that are giving testimonies that they're following the ministry, they're watching YouTube videos, they are, reading the books. People in Africa are attending meetings that I didn't even know that were going on, where people are walking, mile after mile after mile after mile to come learn about how to get the soul wounds healed, to get delivered from their demons. People in Pakistan, keep reaching out, and they're getting ministered to over there. So we continue to see this all around the world, that more and more people are becoming aware that it's true. Demons are real, and they affect us largely in our minds. They torment us. If you're not feeling at peace, if you're not walking in humility, If you don't have a good heart, good mind, and have fruit of the Spirit, then you're being tormented by demonic spirits. If you're struggling to have peace and have a lot of anxiety, and you're angry and you're bitter, and you are, unfortunately, blaming other people for your own behavior and so forth. So anyway, excited about that. Also, wanted to celebrate, and you guys can celebrate together, that my assistant Tina Marie Kirkpatrick, my vice president at Restored to Freedom, as of yesterday, is celebrating her 3rd year working full-time for me at Restored to Freedom. So we are partners in crime. It's been really, really good, and I say crime in a way of, it's criminal what we're doing to demonic spirits, helping them to be put into, I don't know, a jail, a spiritual jail, so that they cannot torment people anymore. So anyway, congratulations to Tina for going 3 years now, working side by side, as we continue to see the ministry growing, as there's more and more people that are having more fruit of the Spirit, and they're becoming aware of this. In fact, we're getting doctors and so forth, and people that are white-collar workers that are watching the show on a regular basis, people that are multimillionaires, people that are from Hollywood, and it's exciting. I'm very excited because the truth, hits. I guess when the rubber hits the road, the truth is in the fruit. Is there fruit or is there not? And there's great fruit, not grapefruit, but great fruit of people that are getting healed and set free and delivered and able to save their marriages. Again, that's the goal, is to try to help individuals' lives get changed and healed and set free and delivered, but then also marriages and also families. And not everyone, because everybody's got a free will, but we try to explain the truth as easily enough that people can watch, an episode, watch a broadcast, and have their eyes opened and their scales removed from their eyes to be able to receive the truth. So we are excited to continue to grow. We have over 160 people in 9 countries that are certified under Restored to Freedom, that are helping others get set free and delivered. And if you want to be certified, you can just go out to our website, restoredtofreedom.com, and we have some books that you need to read. There are some videos you need to watch, and then we can add you into our Restored to Freedom deliverance team. And it's fun to watch. Those who have been hurt and wounded the worst, when they get healed, set free, and delivered, they want to help others to get set free, so we can pass it on. All right, 2021 Breakthrough Tour coming up September 25th. That's 3 weeks from this Saturday in Greenville, South Carolina. I'll be at the Faith Family Church. I've actually been there a couple of times, so looking forward to coming back there and doing a breakthrough event, helping people get healed and delivered. Also, October 17th, I'll be in Port Richey, Florida at the DTM Church. October 31st in Houston, Texas at the Cool Church. November 5th and 6th in Waco, Texas at the Walking in Freedom Ministries. And looking to add a couple more before the end of the year, so just stay tuned on that. All right, topic of the day is, you can't get delivered if you stay in victim and blame mode. And there's a whole lot of people that are stuck there, and the demons want them to be stuck there, of course, because that gives them legal rights to continue to torment them. You can imagine if you're grown up and you've been hurt and wounded, like most people have, oftentimes from our own fathers, our own mothers, stepfathers, stepmothers, neighbors, siblings, people who have touched us sexually, shown us pornography, molested us, raped us, talked down to us, been negative to us, didn't encourage us. Now, that describes most people in the world. So we've been all hurt and we've all been wounded, some way worse than others. Again, I've done thousands of sessions, individual sessions with people around the world, and I've heard some tragic stories that are just really hard to fathom, what a father or mother has done to their own children. But it's because they were hurt and they were wounded, they were filled with demons, and they ended up saying horrible words to their own children. I've heard of many mothers that said, people that I've taken through deliverance, that said that their own moms said to them, "I wish I would have aborted you." You know how hard that is to take, to listen? So there's a lot of horribleness, a lot of pain that's out there. When we get wounded, when we get hurt, we are, at that point in time, we are a victim. We're little kids. We can't protect ourselves. And then later in life, we come into the church, we ask Jesus to come into our hearts. That's all fine and dandy. Doesn't mean the demons have any legal rights to leave you. That's why there's so many quote-unquote Christians that are in the church that still have demons. And they're still having fruit of the flesh, where they're mean, and they're controlling, and they're jealous, and they're prideful, and they're arrogant, and they don't have the fruit of the Spirit yet, because they've not been healed and delivered. If you don't get healed from your soul wounds and delivered from your demons, you'll still manifest in the flesh. In Matthew 7:21-23 gives the example of, Lord, Lord, look all I've done for you. I've cast out demons in your name. I've prophesied in your name. I've done many wonders in your name. And the Lord says, depart. You're going to hell. Why? Because of all the horrible behaviors that the person did. It talks about the lawlessness that they live, the sin, that they continue to treat people in bad ways. And unfortunately, you got to have some fruit. Obviously, if you die in your deathbed, you have no time for any fruit. But once you're in the church, once you're attending there, obviously the church isn't teaching everything that they need to, because we're not seeing the good results that we could see. Had they talk about the truth, saying that Christians do get affected by demons, you need your soul wounds healed, you need to be delivered from your demonic spirits in order to actually enjoy and have good fruit in your life and treat people with love and respect. So if you don't get that done, Galatians 5:16-26 explains pretty clearly that you will not inherit the kingdom of God. If you have jealousy and sexual sins and bitterness and wrath and dissension and striving and fighting and arguing, those are not fruits of the spirits. So a lot of times what will happen is you will end up, all the wounds that you had, you will look at yourself as a victim, and then the things that you do that are not good, you will blame other people. And you will end up having a false narrative that is not true, that you will try to sell to other people to believe about you and to believe about those that you've hurt. And then you will end up lying about those other people and get other people to hopefully believe your lies. And then what that does is allows you not to get freed and delivered yourself from your demons, and you continue to keep them. So you may feel better about yourself if you can get 5 or 10 people to believe your lies, but does it mean you're going to get closer to Jesus and going to heaven? No, absolutely not. So there's a lot of people that have been hurt, that have been wounded. We talk about the Jezebel spirit quite a bit in the ministry, because there's a lot of people, probably close to half the world, that struggle with that. The other half struggle with Ahab. But Jezebel, what they do is they do a lot of evil things. They're in the church. They have a lot of pride. They may do a lot of works to make themselves look good. But truth be told, what they'll do is tell people about all the bad things that happen to them, so that you feel sorry for them. It's called, I guess, the poor, pitiful me syndrome. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you've been through what? You got hurt by your dad so badly, your mom so badly, you got molested when you were a little girl or a little boy, and they feel sorry. They have sympathy for them. But that's what the demonic spirits want, is they want you to have other people feel sorry for you, and to not say, you know what, I'm going to stop feeling sorry for myself. I'm going to choose to forgive those who hurt me, and then I'm going to command the demons that are in me to be gone to the pit. And that's largely what this latest book is going to help people to see this and to say, listen, there's legal rights that these demons have to torment you. And one of them is staying in a victim mode and blaming other people. And it's so prevalent in people in the church. I've heard of stories where one lady, it was her mother-in-law, that like when you first meet her, she would come up to you and say, you know what, I got molested when I was little. That was like the first conversation with the person. And you're like, what? You're like, huh? So oftentimes is those demonic spirits in the person who has been molested want to throw it out there as soon as they can in a new relationship, a new conversation, to get you to feel sorry for them. Oh my gosh, that had been horrible. I feel so sorry for you. And then what they do is they manifest. They continue to behave in ways that are demonic. But then they want you to remember that, well, gee, I'm a little innocent victim, and please feel sorry for me. And then meanwhile, anyone that doesn't do what they want, they will be blamed. And then those people will not take responsibility for themselves. So again, I take people through sessions all the time. And what breaks the yoke of the enemy is I understand, I have compassion for what they've gone through. And when they're sharing their stories, their life stories of all the biggest, worst things that happened to them, yeah, I have compassion. But then I'm like, okay, let's go through each one of those wounds from your dad or your mom or your stepfather, stepmother, anyone else, and let's get those healed. Let's have Jesus come to speak to you about them so you understand that, guess what? Your father that hurt you so badly was also hurt himself. He was a victim. You know, again, most times they will blame other people their whole lives. They won't get healed, they won't get delivered because the church does a horrible job in getting people to recognize that. Unfortunately, a lot of the pastors lie to the people and say, well, you're a Christian, you can't have demons. No, that's wrong. It's a rarity to find a Christian that doesn't get affected by demonic spirits. I don't say that you're possessed, but you sure are oppressed. You sure are tormented in your mind because you're not going to have peace. You're not going to have the fruit of the Spirit. You know, and most of the things that you think upon are going to be influenced by the demonic spirits and have a lot of negativity. So the demons want you to focus on yourself as a victim, poor, pitiful me, and to blame other people. Oh my gosh. You know, and oftentimes you see this with a person that has been hurt by their father, by their mother, anyone else. They end up hurting their own children. They end up saying things to their own children that hurts them. And then the child wants nothing to do with the parent. And then the parent blames the child and says, look how bad my child is. And they even speak it to the child. So the child's heart turns away from their parent. They want nothing to do with them. So they've infected their own children with their own demonic spirits. And then they want to act like they're a little innocent victim again. Poor, pitiful me. Blame everyone else. Well, guess what? You get stuck with those demons for life. You will not get healed and delivered. That's why it's so critical that we ask Jesus to show each individual person those who have hurt them from his perspective, and then they can see that, oh my gosh, my mom or my dad, they were hurt really deeply growing up. I didn't know that. You know, I did a session with a person last night. They're like, I learned something about my dad. I didn't realize anymore. Oh my gosh, I have more compassion now for my dad for all the things that he did to hurt me. Then they can forgive, truly, take away the legal rights of the demons, and then command the demons to be gone to the pit. And when they're gone, they're not going to be affected by them anymore. They don't have the tears. They don't want to blame the parent anymore. They can talk about it matter-of-factly. But yeah, I got hurt. Yep, that's what happened to me. But no more blaming. You know, they can take responsibility for themselves. And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They want you to feel sorry for them. Oh, I've been hurt so badly. And then they never get healed and delivered. And a person has legal rights. They can keep their demons if they want. And that's why people become witches and warlocks, because they were hurt so badly when they're growing up, and they want you to feel sorry for them. Oftentimes they embellish their stories. The demons are like, you know what? I got a little bit of sympathy when I said that I had one miscarriage and blamed my spouse for it. I might want to up that. Yeah. Let's see, if I had one, how about if I had 5 miscarriages? Yeah, that sounds even better, when it wasn't the truth. Or maybe 5 got a little bit more sympathy. Let's say I've got 10. Yeah, or 15. You know, some people are just so out and out lying about the things that happen because they love the sympathy. And you're not going to get healed and delivered as long as you lie. You got to be honest. You got to speak the truth. What does sympathy do? You know, it does nothing. You know, people that struggle with the Ahab spirit oftentimes are very empathic. They have empathy. They oftentimes get drawn into relationships with people that have the Jezebel spirit that will control them. You know, they do feel sorry, but it's to a fault. They end up getting into relationships or marrying people that have the Jezebel spirit. Jezebel wants to control them, manipulate, demand, do what they want. And in many cases, the Ahab spirited person will get some things that they wanted because the Jezebel will do all the dirty work for them, and the Ahab won't. Just like in real life, Ahab and Jezebel. Ahab wanted Naboth's vineyard, and Naboth said, no, I'm not going to sell it to you for a fair price. And so then Jezebel ended up framing Naboth, accusing him of blaspheming God, coming against Ahab. They had 2 scoundrels that did that at a banquet, and they ended up stoning him and killing him. And then Ahab got what he wanted. So As long as we stay in the victim and blame mode, we're not going to get healed and delivered. The legal rights of the demons will stay, will continue to be tormented, and we will, unfortunately, not have any fruit of the Spirit. We'll have fruit of the flesh, and that's not a good thing. So I'm going to read through my good friend Dominic Herbst. He's a Christian psychologist out of Pennsylvania. I'm going to read through what he calls the cyclical destruction of the soul. And this is how it oftentimes happens, is we end up, and okay, we can get hurt and wounded when we're growing up, and then we can continue to take an offense, feel betrayed when we become adults. And this happens. I've seen it with people that I've had interactions with, where they will be wrong, but yet they will take an offense, feel betrayed. And they could be completely wrong. Why? Because the demonic spirits in them cause them to have a misconception of reality. Now, there can be legit things that you can be offended by, but the thing is, you gotta be unoffendable. Take no offense. So Luke 17:1 says, "Then he said to the disciples," Jesus, "it is impossible that no offenses should come, but woe to him through whom they do come." And so there's a lot of people that will take an offense. And if you're around people that take an offense, again, people that struggle more with the Jezebel spirit will take an offense. I always say like the drop of a hat. And they will offend you all day long, expect you to take it from them. And that's not fun. It's no fun being around people that are like that. But people that love to take an offense will also love to say, "Oh, poor, poor, pitiful me. I'm a victim. I'm such an innocent victim, and I'm going to blame these other people." And some people get on social media and they'll ask for your money. "Oh, poor, poor, pitiful." And they're professional actresses or actors. And it's not cool. God knows their hearts. So again, we can be offended intentionally or by default. We can be betrayed by people, and it can be legit, or it could be that you're the one that's off and you're the one that takes offense because you've not been healed and delivered from your soul wounds and the demons. So what happens when you take an offense? "Oh my gosh, poor, poor, pitiful me. I am such a victim." Then what normally develops if you continue on by taking that offense is you'll have some feelings of rejection and anger. So what does Ephesians 4:26-27 says? "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down in your wrath, nor give place to the devil." So when we start feeling rejected, let's say in a case of you have a relationship with someone and you do not agree with something that they've said or done. It's wrong. So you speak to them about it and then they take an offense. Well, then you might have to separate and part from them. And what happens? They will now feel rejected and oftentimes angry. "How dare you? How dare you part from me? How dare you not let me go off on you for hours and hours and hours?" So what do? Often you'll see them on social media portraying themselves as a victim. They're so good at that too. Some of these are professional, great actors. Those demons in them cause them to behave that way. You hear this all the time. When you come to a husband and wife, again, majority of husbands and wives that aren't healed and delivered are going to struggle with Jezebel and Ahab. You'll have one person that struggles more with Jezebel, which means they're going to control the relationship. They're going to be dominant. They're going to lie more. They're going to have more pride. They're going to want to make you do what they want. And then you have an Ahab that normally has to give in, tolerate. So what happens is the Jezebel will oftentimes go off and tell other people privately how much of a victim that they are. "Oh, poor, poor, pitiful me. My spouse did this, that, and the other thing." And they'll twist things. They'll paint their spouse as looking like Adolf Hitler, when in many cases they're like Mr. Rogers, But because the demons in them are still active, they will cause them to have a misperception of reality. So they'll feel like they're a victim. The demons will tell them too, "You're a victim. Poor, poor, pitiful you. Oh my gosh, your spouse is so mean." So they'll go out there and start talking to other people. And if you believe every word that they say, then that supports the demons within them. That's what you normally see with people that struggle with Jezebel. When a in a marriage, when their separation happens, is Jezebels will go out there and lie to everybody that they can to get them to feel sorry for them. Where typically the Ahabs tend to not even say anything. They're quiet. You know, they oftentimes want the marriage to survive, but the Jezebels want to dominate and basically cause the Ahab to submit to everything that they want. So anyway, when you start to feel like you're a victim, then at that point you have these toxic emotions that stir up inside of you. Again, your emotions are a part of your soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. So again, this all goes back to when you were wounded, when you were hurt by your father, by your mother, by your stepfather, stepmother, by your sister, by your brother, by your grandparents, by your uncles, by your aunts, by next door neighbors, all these things. So yes, you were a victim at that point, but the demons want you to continue to stay in victim mode and then blame other people. So the demons can stay on you and continue to torment you. So once that happened, of course, your soul is wounded and you feel hurt by the latest person that has had to pull away or reject you. And you have a loss of trust and, of course, dignity. Jeremiah 17:5 says, "Thus says the Lord, cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his strength, whose heart departs from the Lord." So then your soul, your mind, your will, your emotions, that's already have demonic spirits in it, is infected with hate. Hate. Hate causes you to be blinded. 1 John 2:9 through 11. It also binds to you. 2 Corinthians 10:4 through 5. And a root of bitterness then strings up and grows up within you. Hebrews 12:14 through 15, which says, "Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord." You're not going to see the Lord if you don't have holiness, some godly traits, especially peace. "Looking carefully lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled." So there's a lot of people that if you pulled away from them because you needed to, because they were toxic, they were not healed from their wounds, they had demonic spirits, then guess what? Then you will have to pull away from them. And then what will happen with them is oftentimes they'll get mad at you, get angry at you, start lying about you, saying the false truth. In their mind, they think it's the truth and it's false. And they tell everybody they can to turn them away from you. They want to have a whole bunch of others. And the whole bunch of other people, oftentimes, if they've not been healed from their soul wounds and demons, they'll go ahead and support them. "Oh, poor, pitiful you. Oh, you're such a dear thing. Oh my goodness. You mean your husband just abandoned you?" Which was not the truth at all. The people were like, well, that's what they said. Well, yeah, but the person that had Jezebel is the one that went off on the spouse and went on and on and on and on, couldn't stop talking, and was tormented by their demons. And they didn't want to accept the truth and admit that they needed to get healed from the soul wounds. They'd rather lie. So that's what goes on in these people. That's why when I do sessions for people, especially with couples, the one that struggles with Jezebel is going to have a much harder road getting healed and delivered. They have to be honest. Their demons don't want them to be honest with their own behavior. Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just blame everything on my spouse? It's so much easier. So it's interesting when I do a session for a person, especially that has Jezebel, is I don't ask them much at all about the relationship they currently have, because I know that's going to be skewed. They're not going to be honest. So we go back to when they were growing up. Say, what happened to you when you were growing up? How'd your father treat you? How'd your mother? Well, then they'll be more honest. They'll say, well, my gosh, my father did this, this, and this, and this. My mom did this, this, and this, and this. I got sexually touched or molested by the neighbor. Oh, okay. And they like that sympathy, of course. But then we get those wounds healed. We have Jesus come and explains to them why their father and mother did what they did, and the neighbor boy and whoever else. And then they can finally start to get healed and the demons start to come off of them. Then they can be honest when we get to the end of the session and say, you know what? Yeah, I've done some things actually to my spouse that haven't been good. They can actually be honest for like the first time. That's why when they go to secular counselors, pastors, psychologists, oftentimes those demons won't let them be honest. They want to be a victim. They want to portray themselves as the full victim. That's why I find it amazing the people that have gotten healed and delivered that will speak out and share the truth of what they did to their spouse. That's powerful. That's when you know that a person's been healed and delivered. They have compassion too for others that have hurt them. They don't have all the hatred and bitterness inside their hearts anymore. So anyway, what happens if a person continues on with this anger and hatred for a person that no longer wants to tolerate their abuse anymore? They part, they separate from that relationship. Well, what happens is they turn into what's called the vengeance mode, where they have rage and internal anger and also fear. They do some regrettable behaviors at that point. Oftentimes they come on social media and they will blast a person, and they won't want to act like they're a victim again. Poor, poor, pitiful me. But at that point, their soul is being harmed to the point of potential death. They have unforgiveness, Matthew 18:32. They have murder in their heart, 1 John 3:15. And at that point, they become the offender. They are contaminated in their thoughts. They have demons. And what does the Bible say? James 3:8-10. But no man can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men, who have been made in the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. 1 Peter 3:12 says, For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So if you start taking vengeance upon yourself to try to hate on a person and say, I'm going to pay them back. They're going to pay for what they've done to me. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And there's so many people in the world that want to take vengeance themselves. And they will have consequences for their actions. 1 John 2:11 says, But whoever hates his brother is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness. He does not know where he's going, because the darkness has blinded him. 1 John 3:15, Whoever hates his brother is a murderer. You know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him. So there's a lot of people that have anger, hatred, bitterness, of all the injustices that took place in their lives. If they don't get healed and delivered from that, they're not on their way to heaven. And there's a lot of people in the church that have that. So they have to forgive. Forgiveness means I'm going to give that other person to the Lord and let him deal with them. And I'm not going to be angry and bitter towards them anymore. And then you get to walk in freedom. That's a great thing. Freedom. Yay. So I like to talk about the movie The Shack. Again, I recently watched it again this week. Hadn't seen it since September, I guess maybe July of 2017. For those of you who've never watched The Shack, watch it. In fact, I'm putting that reference in my new book. Again, the new book is going to be called From Soul Wounds and Demons to Freedom, I think. It's going to explain everything, all the correlation between when we get hurt, when we're growing up, how we get demons attached to those wounds in our soul, how it affects us, causes us to struggle with the fruit of the Spirit, and then how to get delivered. And I can't wait to get that out. That is, it's like a culmination of everything that I've learned the last, since I guess 2016, I guess, when I first started writing my book, Restored to Freedom. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and it's a culmination of all that. And it's the goal of the book is to give it to someone and allow them to go through their own deliverance session on their own. We can do this. Each of us can do this, but you need to know the whole truth of how this all works. So that is why the Lord had me write that now, and I believe that we're going to see millions set freed from these these wounds and these demons, and it's amazing. Up to chapter 9 in it now. So anyways, watch the movie The Shack if you've not seen it recently, if you've never seen it, and you struggle with forgiving a person, because it's a great movie that explains how when we get wounded, we get hurt, we end up triggering on people, oftentimes our own children and our spouse, and how we abuse verbally, emotionally, physically, sexually. And it's a powerful testimony where this man has his daughter get murdered. She's only like, 7, 8, 9 years of age. And he ends up at the end of the movie forgiving the man that had murdered her. It's so touching. How can you do that? Most people be so angry. Again, we've heard stories of people. I heard one story. I'm not going to say where, but it's powerful. Where this individual, he worked at a gas station, and this person came up to him that was on drugs, poured gas on him, lit him on fire, burned him, dead. And then the guy went to jail, and then he came before court, and the court couldn't cause him to be guilty. He didn't admit that he did it. And then they brought him up a second time, still didn't admit that he did it. But then the third time, he ended up reading a copy of Restored to Freedom, and he actually admitted it in front of the court. And then the person that was the mother of the man that had gotten burned forgave the man that killed him. It's a powerful, true story. And it is amazing. The truth will set people free. And it's hard to forgive when a person's hurt you and abused you, and you've been completely innocent. It's very hard. I know that it is. I remember a woman that said that she'd been molested and raped from like age 9 to 16. She said, I will never forgive that man. I hate him so much. I hope he burns in hell. And she had all kinds of physical problems in her body, all kinds of torment. And I told her, I said, listen, if you don't forgive, you're not going to get healed and delivered from the demons in you. She was so mad, did not want to hear it. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but that's how it works. I said, I know what they did was horrible. I feel so sorry. Have compassion for you. And she couldn't do it. So there's a lot of people walking around in the church, a lot of people that are leaders in the church, people that would call themselves a prophet, call themselves a revivalist, call themselves a pastor, call themselves a minister, whatever, and they're not healed and they're not delivered, and they're not on their way to heaven. Matthew 7, 21, 23. You got to have fruit of the Spirit. If you're truly healed and delivered, you have Jesus in you, you're going to have love, you're going to have joy, you're going to have peace, patience, kindness. Okay, let me read this question. Somebody that just had, here we go, on YouTube. Have a question. Can a person be under both Jezebel and Ahab operating at different times? Yeah, you can. I'll say this, is what normally happens is you can have, and again, I have a list of character traits. You can find that on a blog that I just wrote on restoredtofreedom.com, or you can go back on Facebook and see it a couple days ago. Have the list of characteristics for Jezebel and Leviathan and Ahab. Jezebel, I have, 100 different characteristic traits. Ahab, I've got maybe 25, and Leviathan, maybe 12. So what happens is you get wounded, you get hurt, you get demons, get hurt deep enough, you'll develop Jezebel. Jezebel causes you to control people, manipulate people, sexually be impure, ungodly, demand your way all the time, be selfish. And what happens is, oftentimes you'll see this, is if those people that they've been hurt, say by their father or mother, if they go back to their father or mother, they oftentimes turn into more of the Ahab spirit around them. Why? Because they know that if they get mad, mean, and angry at their parent that caused them to have these spirits, they're going to get yelled at even worse. And they want to be loved. So they go back to their dad or their mom. Dad and the mom continues to Jezebel them, and they just be quiet. And they are like an Ahab. And then they leave the presence of their father or mother, and they become the Jezebel to their spouse or to their kids. So, but you'll normally default to one or the other on a day-to-day basis. So you'll either default more to Jezebel or default more to Ahab. But people that have Ahab defaults can have some characteristics of Jezebel. They can be sexually impure. Oftentimes that's kind of the common denominator between both of them. Most people are not sexually pure. So they need to be delivered from that. But Ahabs tend to want to just get along, look the other way, tolerate things that they shouldn't be tolerating, not rock the boat, things like that. So anyway, that's how it works. And I guess that's about it. So let me see if there's any other comments that I can see. Any questions, I guess. Yeah, I'll say this, you know, again, any of us have moms and dads that hurt us deeply. Then, to get healed from that, is what we do is when I do a session, I ask Jesus to come and say, let's show that person, your father or your mother, from the Lord's perspective, because the Lord knows, he's seen it. You know, he's sad for your father and mother because they would have had to have been hurt deeply to treat you the way that they did if it was mean. And that's how it happens. You know, I had a grandmother that treated my mom not the way that she should. She was more controlling, manipulative, more Jezebelic, and my grandfather was definitely more Ahabish. And then my mom picked up some of those traits of Jezebel. My dad was more of an Ahab. You know, I picked up the traits more of Ahab. Had some from Jezebel as well, though, till I got delivered. So it's interesting when you look back on your ancestry that you'll see that, you know. And again, there could be a person that had a great father, great mother, and then had siblings, and one of the siblings was sexually molested, and the others didn't know it. Then that sibling ends up being infected by demons, and they'll behave badly. And then they'll be looked upon as, oh, they're the bad sheep of the family. We have no idea. Oftentimes they didn't say anything. They kept it a secret when they were molested or hurt or shown pornography. And then they behave badly. And then they're looked down upon by their siblings and by their mom and their dad. And they're like, I don't know what happened to them. Well, I can guarantee you something happened to them. That's the only reason why. You know, if we're brought up in a loving family, and again, not a religious family. There's a lot of religious people that are very prideful, very arrogant, just like the Pharisees and the scribes. And those people get hurt. You will get hurt by religious people. You got to have love. You got to have the fruit of the Spirit. The only way you can do that is through healing, getting healed from those soul wounds, forgiving people from your hearts, commanding the demonic spirits to go, breaking off any idols that we have. Again, that will be in my new book as well. I'll talk about specific idols that people put before the Lord. There's a lot of things that we have that give legal rights to these demonic spirits. I'm going to list out everything that I can think of that would give the demonic spirits legal rights to torment a human being, a person. So I can't wait to get it done. And once it's out there, I believe we will see huge impact to the enemy. Enemy will not like it. I know that it's interesting. It's very interesting. Those that have translated my books into Spanish and German have had a lot of attacks come after them for doing that. The enemy does not like it. And again, I've had dreams of more and more people around the world that are getting healed and delivered. You know, the goal of this is, again, a person can read the book in hopefully 5 or 6. How much is the book? The book will be the same price as my other books. Again, I have 9 total books on Amazon. This will be my 10th. In fact, it isn't 10. I believe 10 stands for completion. I really feel like it is the completion of the culmination of what I've had to go through and to learn. And but the book on Amazon will be $12.99, and if you buy it from me as I travel, will be $10. So oh, and this is interesting too. I just learned this. Apparently, there's a big bookstore over in Australia. I can't remember the name of it. Raccoon, something, not raccoon, but something like that. And they apparently carry my book, Restored to Freedom, now. At least one of these ladies that's in Australia said that they found the book there. The other books were not there, so that'll be pretty cool, because that's like a Barnes & Noble over here in America. And hopefully this latest one, again, I'm gonna probably call it, and I haven't confirmed it yet, but From Soul Wounds and Demons to Freedom is what I'm planning to call it. And the goal of it is that a person can read it and understand all the wounds that they got, how it allowed demons to give them thoughts, why they struggle with addictions today, why they struggle with these counterfeit comforts, why they struggle with demons, and then how to get delivered from it. And I'm going to have that in there where they can actually ask Jesus to come to speak to them, and they can actually do their own deliverance, you know, and they can do this at their own speed. And again, deliverance normally takes time. I explain in the book that oftentimes it takes more than a year and a half, 2 years, to fully come out of all the legal rights that the demonic spirits have had. You know, when a person gets really messed up, gets really hurt a lot, deeply, they've got a lot of counterfeit comforts, a lot of addictions, a lot of things that they need to forgive people from, get rid of certain things in their home that give legal rights to the demons. And so anyway, that's the goal, is to get people prepared for Christ's return, coming back for a pure and spotless bride. And so there you go. All right, well, I will let you go. Again, here I am, almost like the shack, the cabin, the log cabin. All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.